Robert Hill, who are prosecuting the cases that we've received. Montgomery County Police Chief Mark Yamada is here, along with Assistant Chief Nick Augustine and Detective Sean Petty, who has been working on a lot of these cases and really can tell you about some of the investigative work that's been going on. And then joining us with the FBI Baltimore Field Office, Special Agent in Charge Bill DeBagno, and also Supervisory Special Agent Keith Custer. I kind of want to point them out. This is Mr. Custer and Mr. DeBagno, just so you know who we're talking about. And then with Homeland Security, we have Special Agent or Supervisory Special Agent Vaughn Harper here as well. So any questions with who's who, I can help you with afterward, but I want to turn things over now to State's Attorney John McCarthy.
Good morning or good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. 2.9 million lost, with the 4 victims in cases in which we have already made arrests in Montgomery County. We believe that the total number of victims in our county alone is now close to 20, with millions more lost. I'm also afraid, as I stand here today, that besides those who actually identified their already victims, there are additional people in the community that still, as they are in their homes, do not realize that they've been victimized by this scam. I am not going to discuss the individual cases that are pending because they're pending for trial. Today, again, is about public education and warning the public and our community again about this scandal, this scam, this organized crime venture that has come to Montgomery County. And I'm honored to be joined by some of my federal partners and local law enforcement in this effort. As the investigation continues, this issue we now know is not merely nationwide. It is not merely affecting Maryland. It is not merely affecting Montgomery County. It is international. It has an international flavor, and make no mistake about it, this is organized crime at the highest level. This case and the cases that we are investigating have links to both India and China, and arrests have been made in the United States and in cooperation with the Indian government against individuals involved from call centers targeting individuals throughout the United States and here in Montgomery County. To date, and why this warning is so important, the reality is once you're a victim of one of these scams, the chances of getting your money back is not high. And to date, neither no local nor federal government has been able to recover any of the monies that have been lost to these victims. Now, in talking to my federal partners, I now know that this scam targets everyone, regardless of age, regardless of any demographic. This is something that this is vulnerable to any person in the community. Here in Montgomery County, and we've talked about this before, the scams are primarily targeted and almost exclusively to senior members of our community. And that's particularly troubling to me, and this is why we need, not only do we need seniors to be on the lookout for this, but we know that nationally, only 4% of times that seniors are victims of crimes do they bring the matter to the attention of law enforcement themselves. 96% of the times we learn about these things is because there are other people that love or care of these individuals in the community that bring these matters to the police attention, to the federal government's attention, and to our attention. If you have a role in protecting a senior, or if you are a senior yourself, please talk about this with the senior members of your community or your family. And there are collateral consequences to these cases. We're now learning, not only is we had one victim who lost $978,000 in Montgomery County, but there are collateral consequences that go beyond that, because if the individual, as we've had in one of our cases, takes the money out of an IRA or something like that, where the money was not taxed, then they get a tax bill from the federal government for the money that was taken out and invested into these gold bar scandals here in the United States. Some are potentially losing their homes. We often say when we go out, we talk to members in our community, the two most dangerous things in your home are your phone and your computer. These phone calls are coming in from call centers. These are cold calls, and you are being targeted. And they're making these calls by the thousands, almost like a fishing expedition trying to find out who's going to bite on it the next time. And the computers, please do not ever, ever click on a pop-up ad. Those pop-up ads could lead to your being a victim of this scam and could lead to them compromising your computer. Don't answer the phone if you don't recognize the phone number. Don't click on pop-up ads. Look, we're here all having the same message. I talked to Bill from the FBI this morning. Look, this is about education. The number one thing we can do is to educate you about what's going on here. And I'm honored to be joined, and the first person who's going to speak to you now after me is going to be our Chief of Police, Mark Yamada.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. I am Mark Yamada, the Chief of Police for Montgomery County Police Department. As John said, we're here today to talk about a tech hacking scam, more commonly known as the Gold Bar scam, that has been adversely impacting our communities, not only here in Montgomery County, but across the nation. Our purpose is to, as John said, inform, make people more aware, hopefully educate, in order to prevent future victimization. This case was started here in Montgomery County by Detective Sean Petty, who I'll introduce here shortly. He's done an absolutely phenomenal job investigating these cases. And I am very thankful for the ongoing and continuing partnership and collaboration with my federal partners from the FBI and Homeland Security investigations. So without further delay, Detective Sean Petty.
Good afternoon. I'm Detective Sean Petty with Montgomery County Police Financial Crimes Section. Since July 2023, our Financial Crimes Section has been working on cases involving the fraudulent loss of gold bars, cash, and cryptocurrency. The biggest loss has been with the actual gold bars themselves. As of August the 9th, 2024, of the cases we've made arrests in, we've identified a total of 7 victims who've collectively lost over $6.3 million in gold bars. Some of those victims have also lost money due to cryptocurrency and or cash pickups. So we're dealing with not just gold bars, but also cash pickups and cryptocurrency losses. The exact amount lost due to cash pickups and cryptocurrencies is hard to quantify, but we know that it's well over $1 million across these victims. Our efforts to combat these crimes, we've successfully prevented over $3.3 million in gold bars from being lost in these particular scams. This has been made possible through the hard work and dedication of our Financial Crimes Section officers, detectives, and the collaboration with not only the FBI, but also HSI. We've also begun a PSA campaign with the pawn shops in Montgomery County to make awareness that if individuals come in trying to buy gold bars, large quantities of gold bars, that the pawn shops have some information and knowledge on how to ask the proper questions to prevent those individuals from losing those gold bars. To date, we've made 5 arrests connected to these crimes, and while I'm not going to speak specifically about the cases, I can say that the ages of the victims have ranged from 61 to 94 years old, with the largest loss being $2.3 million, in excess of $2.3 million. As the chief and the state's attorney has said, our goal here today is to impress upon people, if you're getting these phone calls, we want you to think twice about what you're going to do. The first thing we would like is if you not answer the phone call at all, but if you end up getting that phone call and there's somebody on the other end that says, hey, we want you to convert your assets into gold bars because we're going to have somebody come pick them up for you and put them in a safekeeping because we're the federal government or we're the state government or we're a local entity, it's a scam. 100% it's a scam. You are not going to get that gold back. there is nothing that we're going to be able to do for you in that respect of getting that money back from those gold bars. So if we can prevent it on the front end, it would be in our best interest to do so. We can make the arrest, but if we can prevent an individual from losing any amount of money from a cash pickup, from a cryptocurrency scam, or from these gold bars, we would greatly appreciate it. I want to commend our financial crimes section detectives for the work in these cases. This is not a single man venture. I could not be the only detective that's working these cases. And again, with our partnership with the FBI and HSI, we've obviously been able to make some headway in these cases. But of course, we're going to continue to see these as long as people continue to receive these calls, these pop-up ads, and they continue to answer what the scammers are telling them to do. Thank you.
You know, we have several additional speakers, but I would say one of the reasons that we've been able to uncover and identify the victims that exist here in Montgomery County is because the chief and Montgomery County has invested in keeping this fraud section alive and staffed during some very, very tough times. Assistant Chief Augustine is with us. I want to thank him, and I will tell you, because I've made myself very familiar with what Detective Petty's been doing. We, as Montgomery County residents, should be very proud of the efforts of our police department and the men and women that are working in this area of the department. Thank you for what you're doing. Having said that, our next speaker is going to be Mr. Vaughn Harper, who is with Homeland Security.
Good afternoon. My name is Vaughn Harper. I'm with Homeland Security Investigations. I'm a supervisory special agent that supervises a unit that investigates financial crimes like the ones we're talking about today. HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, our mandate as being one of the principal investigative arms of the Department of Homeland Security is to investigate transnational criminal groups, kind of like the ones that you heard that victimized several people here in Montgomery County today. And with the combined resources of the Montgomery County Police Department, our other local and state police departments, as well as our federal agency partners, we're able to combat this crime. I just want to talk a little bit about awareness, because that's one of the mantras that we're talking about here today. I've been in law enforcement for over 26 years, starting out as a local police officer here in the state of Maryland before becoming a federal agent, and I've had family members victimized in the manner that you've heard today. Wasn't a gold bar scam, but a financial fraud scheme is a financial fraud scheme. So for me, this takes a personal toll on family and friends. It victimizes our community, and I'm glad to be a part of this joint effort to combat these type of crimes. Detective Petty, who's spoken, we've worked extensively with him, along with other agents and offices around the country. HSI does have around 235 offices across the United States, as well as about 90 offices around the world. And we use those resources to not only combat the crime here in the United States, but to attack it at the source where it comes from overseas. Again, those transnational organized criminal groups that are victimizing the American people, and that's what we try to do here at HSI, spread awareness. We have a robust victim assistance program to help victims of these crimes, and to put forward efforts like this to make awareness a priority to try to prevent this. Because as you've heard, recovering the money is almost close to impossible. So if we can prevent the money from being taken, we can prevent people from being victimized. That's our goal as Homeland Security Investigations. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two representatives from the FBI. Keith Custer is from the FBI, but speaking on behalf of the FBI is Special Agent in charge of the field office in Baltimore, Bill Dabagno.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy, and thank you all. I'm Bill Dabagno. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the Baltimore field office of the FBI. Imagine handing over tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to a stranger, losing everything that you've saved for decades, thinking that you're going to protect your money, but you're really just handing it over right to criminals. It's a nightmare that way too many Americans are waking up to, and it's especially devastating to our senior citizens. The FBI wants to prevent that, and that's why we're here today. That's why we're all here today. People are losing their life savings, their homes, their trust, their security. Unfortunately, it's happening across the United States, and it's happening here in Maryland. The FBI has the Internet Crime Complaint Center called IC3. Through IC3, we received more than 250 complaints about scams related to couriers collecting gold bars. That's almost $84 million worth of these scams. All that was reported in the last 15 months, and that just reflects those victims who came forth and provided that information to IC3. Sadly, that number is far, far greater. These scams often start with a criminal acting like tech support or as law enforcement or a government official. You get an email, a pop-up on your computer saying it's infected with a virus or it has malware, it has a phone number to contact, and that number goes directly to the scammers. They shuffle you around between fake agencies about your bank accounts being compromised. The scammers are very convincing. They make you believe that they are a real official, sometimes law enforcement. They convince you that the only way to protect your money is to convert it to gold and give them cash. So the advice that we have today of how you can truly protect yourselves and your loved ones. First, law enforcement agencies and government officials will never contact you by phones with threats of arrest and fines. Government agencies will never ask you to collect gold or cash or pay fines to safeguard your money. We will not demand immediate payment. They will not ask for payment in very unusual ways, such as drop-offs of gift cards or cryptocurrency or wire transfers. So please resist the pressure to act quickly. These scammers try to isolate you, isolate their victims, and convey this sense of urgency. Don't let them. Hang up the phone, call a friend that you trust or a family member, and talk it through. If you think you're being scammed, contact your bank immediately and report the activity of law enforcement. Many times, the criminals are committing these scams overseas. While we recently dismantled some of these organizations and arrested criminals responsible, too many Americans are still being victimized. The FBI is working with our state, local, federal, and international partners, and even some of the private industry. But overall, we need your help. Prevention and education remain our strongest tools to stop this. These scams are happening. They're happening to our parents, they're happening to our grandparents, our friends, and our neighbors. Please tell your loved ones, help them understand the warning signs. Please report any suspected fraud to law enforcement and to the IC3. We've made it very easy. Go online, ic3.gov, or call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you.
May I say, at this point in time, I'm going to open this up to anyone that you see up here that you'd like to ask a question, and I'll call them up to the mic to answer any question anybody might have.
First question, why gold? Like, why are they being asked to convert their money into gold? Why gold?
Hi again, my name's Keith Custer. I'm with the FBI in Baltimore. I supervise the financial crime squad there. We think that the scammers are asking for gold because it is a transaction that looks somewhat more normal than an elderly victim walking to a bank and attempting to withdraw $50,000 in cash. When looked at from the outside, the purchase of gold bullion is a normal investment activity. Lots of people want to invest in gold. So if a senior wires $50,000 to an online vendor, it looks like a normal transaction. Thankfully, we've been able to reach out to a lot of the major vendors and alert them to this activity, and they've been very helpful in trying to head this activity off. But gold is just one of the many methods that scammers are using to launder the proceeds of their frauds. We're still seeing bulk cash being shipped through the mail to various locations. We're seeing wire transfers to foreign jurisdictions, including Hong Kong and some others. We still see gift cards. And as one of the earlier speakers alluded to, cryptocurrency is increasingly becoming a method for the perpetrators of this scam to launder their funds. So gold is just one of the tools that these guys use. It's certainly unusual, but you know, there are reasons for it.
Go ahead. Okay.
So the cases that we've seen in Montgomery County have included both cash drop-offs and gold drop-offs. So we've had victims that have only done gold, but we've also had victims that have done gold and cash and or cryptocurrency. So we've seen the trifecta across those three. So I will say that the scammers have given individuals locations that they want to meet, where a supposed federal agent's going to be coming to pick up either the gold or the cash. We have unfortunately had some victims that have given out their home address, where the scammer has come to pick up the gold or the cash from the home of the victim. So we've seen not only parking lots, but also individuals' residences.
And then Detective, last question. You had mentioned, I think, 7 victims and 6 million or so in gold.
Correct.
I just wanted to clarify, as opposed to 4 victims, are there 3 that you can just from that?
So what we have is we have a total of 7 victims. We have a total of 7 victims whose cases we've either identified the suspects, they have been charged, and or are going to be charged soon. So that number, while accurate at that time, we have identified additional individuals that we plan on charging. It is important if individuals are going to engage in this crime here in Montgomery County, they should be advised that our financial crime section is going to identify them and charge them.
What can you say about the psyche of these victims, what they go through, why they're targeted, and then just how they feel afterwards? Because I'm sure a lot of them, as you mentioned, don't feel great about having to, you know, own up to one of the biggest mistakes of their lives. So what are they feeling like, and what sort of, I guess, remedy is there for them?
So in general, the victims that we've seen have obviously felt devastated, ashamed. Ashamed is a major component of it. A lot of them have thought that, how could I be so stupid to fall for a scam? And it's important for people to understand, if you think that you could not fall victim to this because you have a degree in psychology or science or astrophysics, you're wrong. Because the individuals that we have seen have all been intelligent individuals. They have degrees, they have, you know, very respectable jobs that they've retired from. You can be a victim no matter your educational level. The scammers have preyed on people's sensibilities and believing that they are talking to a federal agent, that federal agent is here to help them, protect them, and to save them from being scammed by somebody else, when in fact they're really being scammed by the individuals that they're talking to.
Probably won't answer. Prince George's County put up an image of a courier. Some of these guys, you guys arrested and charged for a while. Have you been in touch with them? I mean, is this the same group? Does that guy match? Guy with the hair match your case?
It's a good question, and you're right, I'm not going to answer that. But I will say that I have been in touch with agencies across the state and the country in relation to these scams.
Why is Montgomery County being targeted? We're talking about how it's nationwide. Why specifically here?
Actually, I really appreciate that question, and I really think it really goes to the quality of the policing that goes on here. We actually had a conversation upstairs, all of us together, and we collectively think the fact that many of the smaller jurisdictions on where this is probably happening don't have fraud sections of the police department where they have individuals there that are skilled enough to investigate these cases. And so I think they're going undetected. I am not here telling you I think this is isolated to Montgomery County. I think we see it, and we've closed cases because of the magnificent work of the police department headed by Chief Yamada. That's why we're closing the cases. This is nationwide. They target everybody, and it's not exclusively a Montgomery County thing. Now, let me say to you, we are the largest community, and we have a large senior community You know, about 230,000 people over the age of 60 live in this community. Many have retired from great jobs, and they've made a lot of money in their lifetime. There's money to be had here. So some of it's common sense, but it's everywhere. And the reason we're solving the cases is because of the work of your great police department.
John, some of your cases here, the suspects are being held without bond. How important is that? Go out, re-victimize, or take off?
Look, I think the cases, and by the way, if I just clarify, the 2.9 million relates to the cases that have been charged. The fact that there's a larger number, as it was pointed out by Detective Petty, just means that there's other individuals not yet charged yet. This 2.9 placard relates to those currently charged. The number grows if you talk about the other cases where arrests are close in time. And I also would one other comment about the false pride when it comes to individuals who are victims of scams has always been a hurdle anybody in law enforcement has to climb. Because people are afraid because sometimes they've made mistakes that they're now ashamed of or feel like, you know, oh my God, I should have been smarter than doing that. But again, if we're going to get a handle on this, we need people to come forward. It's a false sense of pride. It's something we talk about every time we go out and talk to the community. So.
After the Leisure World scam was uncovered, I was wondering if the scammers themselves switched from gold bar to crypto, or was the crypto happening the entire time? As well as, have you guys been talking to the larger crypto companies that are easily available for consumers to buy crypto?
Sure. So the Leisure World case was the first case where we made an arrest. It was not the first case that we saw in Montgomery County, but it was the first case that we made an arrest. And the latest arrest, or I should say extradition, was from that Leisure World case. The suspects didn't change to cryptocurrency after that. They were doing cryptocurrency before it, and they are still doing cryptocurrency since. It has not changed anything. They're still doing gold, they're still doing cash, and they're still doing crypto. So it's carried over regardless of that arrest. The news that it's made, it has not mattered to the scammers. And I don't think that it ever would matter. If they can get $1 from you, they will. If they can get $100,000 from you, they will. If they can get $1 million, they will. And they will continue to come back to you until they bleed you dry. In terms of the cryptocurrency, obviously cryptocurrency is hard to track and trace and recover those funds. Our federal partners have been good about working with us in terms of working some of those cases. But in terms of recovering funds, we just haven't had any success in doing that just yet.
John, can I ask that question again, if I may?
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Like you think of no bail as the violent offenders, but we all get scammers. Is there a message that if you're caught, we're going to hold you?
Look, so far that's what the judges have been doing, and that's exactly the appropriate thing. Because this has an international flavor, because there's huge amounts of money being involved, I think this is absolutely the appropriate thing. Look, they're ruining people's lives with these deals, and I think I know that one of the last judges commented upon the fact that he was offended that the individual had taken advantage of a member of the senior community. So I think I salute the judges for holding them without bond. I think there's risks of flight. Many of the individuals that we've arrested, when we were debriefing or talking to them, we had people who were saying, well, I'm just about to go to Paris, or they had booked flights to India. We've had several people that were about to leave the country. So if you let them go, I'm not sure you ever get them back. And I think that was, look, I can't speak for the judges, but clearly what the judges did sends a message, and it was appropriate.
Speaking to that point, we understand there was an arrest made in Chicago. One of the suspects were brought back to Maryland. Does that kind of also feed into these, some of these suspects being held without bond? And is there a concern that those who are still out, some of the scammers that are still out there, might be trying to leave town?
Well, you want to talk about the Chicago case? I know that one of the individuals was going back to New York because he was from Queens. So we know that these people, most crimes and most individuals that we prosecute, they're usually local. These people are international, and they're traveling all over the country. So keeping tabs on them seems to be harder than the typical defendant. You want to talk about Chicago?
Sure.
I won't speak too much specifically about that case where we extradited an individual from Chicago, but I will say that it has been public record that that individual was arrested in Chicago at O'Hare Airport, and he was intending to fly to Dublin, Ireland. He is currently in Montgomery County custody, being held without bond, pending trial. I am always concerned when a scammer has the ability to reoffend while they're out. Whether or not they're held without bond is completely up to the choice, the judge's choice. But I do think that it does help and prevent additional victims from being victimized from an individual whom we've identified already as a suspect.
You know, if I could say, we say this all the time with seniors. There's sign up for this federal do not call lists. That doesn't work, all right? And they have workarounds. They're going to still call you. Bottom line is, every time I go out to the senior community, I say the same thing. If you can see the number, a lot of this is coming. They're cold calling on your cell. If you look at the number and you don't recognize the number, don't answer the phone. If it's somebody they'll text you or message you or reach you again. If you don't know them, don't answer the phone. You're giving them access to you, and don't click on the pop-up ads on your computer. Those are the two biggest things. Don't answer your phone if you don't recognize the number. Don't click on the pop-up ads. Anybody else have any further questions?
Why is it so hard to get the money back once it's been stolen?
Why is it so?
Frequently, when these types of crimes are reported, it's historical in nature. So we're looking at weeks or months after the fact. The scammers realize that it's a race. As soon as they're able to separate some of that money from a vulnerable victim, it's a race for them to launder those funds back to wherever they're trying to get them. So, unless we're able to, catch a crime in progress and local law enforcement is able to arrest a courier or trace a courier to where they're operating from, there's just too much time. And the funds are almost universally going overseas or being converted to cryptocurrency and laundered in a fashion where it's going through exchanges that won't cooperate with U.S. Legal process, which is a huge hurdle when it comes to cryptocurrency.
One final thing, in terms of Montgomery County, if an individual thinks that they're being victimized, by all means, please call our non-emergency number, 301-279-8000. Let us know as soon as you possibly can. The longer individuals wait to notify us, obviously the delay in time does prevent additional efforts from being made, but we can still work a case if they report it, and we do want to get those reports in if they're happening. And for additional information, if you go to the Montgomery County Police website and you go to the fraud section, it lists all of the information related to the frauds that we're seeing in the county, including the gold bar scam and the government imposter scams.
Yeah, I just want to add to the comment about the question of once the money's gone, once the gold is gone, there's no getting it back. And that just reemphasizes the need for education to prevent this. And that's why we want, the comments made by Mr. McCarthy about the pop-ups, the phone calls. I mean, it's very much on the front end. Having those conversations with your loved ones, have that conversation tonight, have it at any time that you can, and let them know about these gold bar scams. Let them know about cryptocurrency. Let them know that they can get these pop-ups and phone calls and that they're vulnerable to it. And that's the best message that we can have at the moment is prevent it through education. Thanks.
Listen, thank you very much thank you very much for coming out here today. We greatly appreciate it. You have an important role in this too, in helping us educate the community, and we're very grateful for each of you being here with us today. Thank you to my state and local partners who joined me today. I'm honored to be here with them. Thank you.